Hello, everybody. It's me, Ross, and welcome to another edition of the Kings of Anglia Fans Social, where town fans have their say on all things town. And well, what a week it's been. Not a good week. A defeat at home against Bolton, 5-2, a thrashing of all thrashings, and then we got beaten by a bunch of West Ham kids in the EFL Trophy, Papa John's Trophy. But no, it's not been a good week, but there's a lot to talk about. I'm joined by five fine people from the Kings of Anglia fan posse, from Francine making her debut to Bloomers, whose internet actually works now, to Mark Wakeley, all the way from Wales, to Liam and Brad, who I met for the first time in person. We'll get over to you in a second, Brad. But Francine, welcome to the show, your debut. Now let's see how your debut goes. I'm sure it's going to be great. But the first question I'm going to ask everybody is, how are you feeling at the moment? In a few words, your feelings on town's current situation.
I'm very frustrated. Supposed to be it's a brand new era, and it's got off to a pretty bad start. Quite concerned as well that every game it's the same mistakes. They're not it's exactly the same. Lots of mistakes, individuals, but yeah, so frustrated and concerned. But
okay then. Well, Bloomers, over to you. And can we hear you? Can you do a check quickly?
Hello, check 1, 2.
It works. But
okay?
Yeah, it sounds good. Sounds good to me.
If the voice isn't coming through, then just stare at the light, because that'll be more entertaining than my jarbled speech. But hopefully you'll be able to hear me okay.
All good, my friend. And in a few words, your current feelings.
Well, it's just crap, isn't it? In the words of the fantastic Talking Heads song "Once in a Lifetime," which I'm guaranteeing, Ross, you've never heard before. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Unfortunately, we're having a race at the moment with Nottingham Forest for most dysfunctional football club, and I think we're slightly edging it. I don't understand quite how we've got to where we are, but it's clear that any continuation on this, even over the next 5-6 games, means you're looking, instead of a promotion race, to a relegation fight, and that's not a joke. And I'm sure we'll get onto it in a little bit later when we have the question about how long should the management team at the moment have. How I'm happy to give my view later, but my initial feelings are things need to change very, very, very soon. Otherwise, this is a lost season.
Okay, then. Well, Wakers, welcome back to the show, my friends, all the way down from Wales. And how are you feeling at the moment? No wins yet this season. Got beaten by West Ham's kids, and we lost 5-2 at home. Not so good so far.
No, if I had to pick 3 words, I think I'm going to go for disappointed, frustrated, and impatient. Disappointed because, quite frankly, forget all the tactical formation and cook all the rest of it. It's the attitude that really galls me. I mean, this run towards adversity rubbish. I mean, forget that. Ambling towards mediocrity is what they're doing. I didn't see anybody break into a sweat against West Ham. I really didn't. I didn't see anybody fight for the shirt. That's really irritating me. Frustrated because I actually think we've got good players who were an upgrade on last season, and I think there's enough of them there to make a reasonable side. They can play attractive football and penetrative football and damage other teams. Haven't seen it this season, and I'm impatient because after years and years and years of utter dross. At the start of the season, I promised my son that, this was a return to the halcyon days. We'd be at Wembley, do all the things that I used to do when I was a kid, where we won the FA Cup when I was, 7 years old. And, I could actually take you to Portman Road and see a crowd and a victory. And, it would be the golden era was coming back. Unfortunately, I think, my son's probably going to be married and have children of his own by the time those days return, because at the moment it's grim with a capital Gr. So, yeah, disappointed, frustrated, impatient.
I was about to be very rude there and say to you, Mark, you lied to your son. You lied to him. But we'll move on.
I'm an optimist, Rossco, and I keep telling him, I keep saying to him, it cannot get any worse. And then Ipswich Town find ways to make it get worse. It's incredible.
Yeah, of course, it's still early days, but it's just not the start we were hoping for. Over to you then, Liam. Welcome back to the show. I'm just going to bring up a little stat about Liam. He doesn't have milk with his cereal. I found it out last night. That's strange. But yeah, how are you feeling in 3 words? We'll go back to that question in a minute. I'll go over to everyone else to get their thoughts on that. But no milk with cereal? Strange.
Yeah, well, it's largely because as a kid, I decided that putting milk on cereal would make them go all soggy. So I like a bit of crunch on my cereal. So I don't do milk on cereal apart from Cocoa Pops, but I've had to kind of cut back on Cocoa Pops for the whole weight loss kind of regime. So yes, that's a little quirk there, although it's not as bad as your mate Kieran, who doesn't have gravy on the roast. So I'm saying that's worse.
Yeah, that is worse.
But I mean, I'm concerned, and concerned, worried. Any kind of take on that really at the moment? I'm not panicking at the moment, but there is plenty of frustration there that they should have at least won one game. They should have probably won a couple, but there should at least be one win on the board there somewhere. 6 games in the league against teams who have either just been promoted or lower half of last season, and 2 cup defeats against a youth side and a League Two side. So it's probably, I don't think any of us, even being as conservative as we could probably have thought of the start of the season and not got too carried away, I don't think anyone would have thought it was as bad as this. And using kind of Bloomer's analogy, where we should be kind of on the yellow brick road right now, we are kind of on the road to nowhere. So I'm hoping things turn around pretty quickly. But at the moment, it's hope at the moment rather than actual expectation, which is deeply concerning.
Is that a title of this podcast? I'm sure there'll be some great other quotes going to be made today, but that's a good one. Let me note that down quickly.
Well, that's a Talking Head song.
Oh,
that's a Talking Head song. We're on the road to nowhere. So yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we're not. Bloomers, did you want to say something?
No, it wasn't important. It wouldn't have been a funny joke and it wouldn't have landed. Carry on.
Okay. But over to Brad, a man who I met in person for the very first time. We embraced very much so. It was a very good day, despite the 5-2 defeat. But Brad, how are you feeling currently?
Yeah, when I met you, Ross, I almost forgot about the game. I had to actually thought about the game 5 minutes later. But yeah, that was great meeting you. Great meeting the guys. But yeah, I'm with the other guys. I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned about Cook tactically, the lack of plan B, substitutions, just overall concerned about Cook. In the recent games, we'd certainly been in the games, looking like the side to go and win, but he was completely outcoached Saturday. I didn't really see. I know a lot of players have poor games, but we were beaten by a better coached side, and that was extremely worrying for a guy who's got 2 promotions out of this league, has he? Won the league with Wigan in this league. And I don't really see how it happened in a way, because it just looked so tactically inept on Saturday. It really did concern me. So yeah, I'm very concerned.
Okay then, before we get into the nuts and bolts of everything, I want to quickly just bring up that question that I said to Liam about his cereal. Out of everyone's hand, do you have milk with your cereal? Yeah, yes. Everyone has milk with cereal. What's your feelings on this?
Dry without it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I know. I can get. Yeah, porridge would not be porridge if they didn't have milk. It'd just be a bit dust. It'd just be a lot of dust.
Crunchy cereal is one thing. You make your gums bleed.
Yeah, true. But no, little segue there, serial. But let's talk about West Ham and the starting 11 and a missed opportunity. That's a weird segue, but it is what it is. Francine, over to you. You were there Tuesday night. The Papa John's Trophy, West Ham under-21s came to town, and the team came out at 7:15. And it wasn't as strong as we first was hoping. Because Paul Cook was saying it's going to be a strong side. This team was picked a week ago. But yeah, your thoughts on that and a missed opportunity?
Very much so. I'm not quite sure how you can call that a strong team. How many of them will be in the 18 at all this season? Holy's our third choice goalkeeper. Why wasn't Hadkey, there if you want to play a different goalkeeper? I understand the need to rotate if there are a few fitness concerns, Edmondson, Coulson, Burns, because of their fitness concerns, but 10 changes, what good, I know he said in the chat about the win to us fans is really important. Now, we want to win games, and if we'd have won that, we'd have all gone home really happy, but it would have had no impact on the winning mentality going forward. And then we've lost, which is even worse, isn't it? And very few, if any, of those players showed that they deserve a spot in the starting 11 this weekend. I know that other people may disagree, but I was quite impressed with Carroll. He asked for the ball. He dropped deep to get the ball, and he was everywhere, looking for passes and things. Other than that, I can't say any of them deserve to be in the squad this weekend, certain, and definitely not starting. I made two teams at the weekend after that. One that I wanted and one I expected. I was so far off on my expected because he'd made it sound like it was going to be a lot stronger than what we got. So not worth the 2-hour journey it took from Colchester.
Yeah, I'm sure they must have had train troubles.
Yes.
But we won't get into that because it made it worse because we lost 2-1. Bloomers, over to you. Francine's covered different players there, and I think it's understandable players with Edmondson and Coulson. They've just come back from injuries and COVID, and they didn't really have pre-season. But most of the squads you could have put in your regulars. But over to you, your thoughts on the starting 11 and a missed opportunity.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go too much into the nuts and bolts of the game because I wasn't there, so it'd be wrong for me to give you any kind of tactical analysis. What I can do is offer up a theory, and actually, the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. And I might put a tin hat on in a minute, tin foil hat. I think he shat the bed. I think Cook completely shat the bed. I think he realised if he played our full team, there was still a very good possibility we'd lose that game or not win it. And if we didn't, with a full team, the abuse coming would be even worse than what it is now. And he's kind of been proven right, sort of half right, that he still made the changes, and we lost anyways. I think he was all planning on playing a really strong team if we'd have perish this, won a game by now. But we hadn't. And the fact is we were going into it still looking for our first win. I think he shat the bed and made the changes to deflect if there was going to be a bad performance. And wouldn't you know it, from what everyone has said, a bad performance. I mean, I've only seen the highlights, so I'm not going to go too much into it. I think it is a complete opportunity wasted because how often are you going to get 90 minutes in the middle of a season that aren't going to be consequential to your league campaign, which is, I mean, even in more than recent seasons, it's everything this season. Excuse me. We need some, work at the back, and that's very, very, very generous. So why would you not use that opportunity to get players some minutes together to work on things that you've been working on in training? I mean, it all sounds so simple when you put it like that, but for whatever reason, and I've given you my opinion, he's decided that I'm going to make 10 changes, even though I said it's going to be a strong squad. Yes, the squad still should have been completely strong enough to have dealt with yes, there's some talented players in that West Ham team, but it's, again, a youth side. But it sounds like the same old problems happened with different personnel, same defensive mistakes. Holy's highlight reel is well, it's not a highlight reel. It should be on one of them 99p DVDs you see in the bin, with the old own goals and gaffs ones. He's now somehow managed to get himself behind Claggy in the pecking order, which is some feat. And yeah, I can't see any positives out of the night other than maybe Norwood scoring a goal after 3 minutes. Is that consequential for Saturday? No. Was this game consequential for the season? No. And I think some people do need to maybe step back and realise that. But I can't give anyone any reassurance if they're wet in the bed and scared about what's to come, because there was nothing to take from it other than more misery. But let me know what you think of the theory, because I'm interested.
Definitely. And Mark, yeah, as Bloomer said, his theory, do you think Paul Cook did what Bloomer said?
I don't know, but I find it strangely ironic that we had a 2-week international break and we had to arrange a behind closed doors fixture in order to get the team together and build partnerships and get them to gel. And then we get an opportunity for, as Bloomer said, a game here where we've got nothing to lose. It's not a league game. And we waste an opportunity to build some of those partnerships. And I don't really understand why some of those players, I'm sure Edmondson could have managed a half, and played alongside Burgess to build up that partnership with perhaps Walton in goal. That wouldn't have been a wasted 45 minutes, in my opinion. And there are some other players as well I think could well have been out there. It's a home game, and I don't give a monkeys who we're playing and what the trophy is. It's a home game at Portman Road, and the 4,000 fans there who turned up and the many thousands who watched on iFollow and paid £10 for, quite frankly, bloody awful coverage, deserved a lot better than they saw. And I don't give a monkey's what trophy it is. It's Portman Road. It's our home. And we should put up a fight and we should go out and try and win a game. And I don't give a monkey's. But it didn't look like we were particularly interested. I don't think the side he picked is going to help us in any way. I think if Norwood had scored a hat-trick, I don't think he's playing on Saturday, if I'm brutally honest. I would have liked to have seen Piggott get a few more minutes and numerous other players as well. So I'm lost, to be honest, Rossco. And I think that momentum is only going one way. It was an opportunity for us to put out a stronger side and get a first victory of the season and perhaps start to turn that tide and build a bit of confidence, because confidence is everything as a footballer in any sport, in any walk of life. Confidence is everything. They'll have a spring in their step, go into the next game, take chances perhaps, that maybe they wouldn't take at the moment. But we missed that opportunity. We go into Saturday's game on another defeat to what was a frankly bang average, West Ham under-21 side. Nothing special, really. I think it was a wasted opportunity, and I think we would, in hindsight, we should have, played a stronger team, built some partnerships, and most importantly, have got that very first win of the season. Because it could have made a huge difference.
Yeah, it would have been. I know it's only, beating the West Ham under-21 kids, but to win a game, to finally win a game, and Liam, another big point what Mark said there about just making them partnerships, building them partnerships, and it was just a missed opportunity. And what Bloomer said, what Francine said, it's it's a game that you can win. You're at home. A big thing what Mark said, you're at home at Portman Road. You don't need to worry about travelling anywhere. They got to travel to Gillingham for the next group stage game of this. But missed opportunity.
Yeah, it was. I thought he would have gone stronger than that. The thing I would have liked to have seen, and I know Edmondson and Coulson are two pivotal parts of that, who probably wouldn't have played anyway, just because of their fitness situation. But I want to see that back five play together and give them more time to gel. If you think about it, right, Bolton, we had Edmondson and Walton come in to make their debut. So all of a sudden, a defence that's still already leaking goal, you've made two changes to already. And okay, yes, another 5 went in on Saturday, but that's the team that he's going to go forward with. I want to see that back five give him more. And even if West Ham got nowhere near and it was a comfortable 4-5-0 victory, whatever, you can use it as a training exercise. It doesn't have to be. And I agree to an extent with Bloomers in the fact that I do think Cook shat it, but I didn't know if he had shat it because he was too scared of putting out a strong team, of getting beaten. I just think he was too scared of any of those first teamers potentially getting injured and not being available for Saturday. And frankly, I find the whole fitness kind of side really, really strange, because all of them, apart from Edmondson and Coulson, have had pre-seasons at different places. I mean, Aluko had pre-season at Derby before he came in, so his performances early on, I thought he was good on Saturday, but his performances early on, you can't say that he didn't have a pre-season under his belt. Everyone else has had a pre-season either here or elsewhere, and I don't understand why most of them are not up to speed. Why they're all looking absolutely knackered with 20 minutes to go. I've said this about Edwards. Edwards in the home game against Wimbledon was completely out on his feet, and I just don't get why the players aren't fit enough now. Why there isn't enough in there, and so ironically, use these games to give players fitness. And look, if they get injured, they get injured. But we've talked about the squad now being really strong. Look at the depth. People have been talking about this is bigger than what Cook would probably like. Well, we've got the depth. Use it. If players get injured, it's part and parcel of the game. We now have players who can come in and replace. So let's try everything we can to get something going here, so that we can actually start moving up the table. And instead, he's played a team. I mean, Norwood, yes, he's come back from injury, so give him minutes. I guess that's one that I don't object to too much. But everyone else, I mean, Holy was, well, he had a bit of a stinker. But I've already said that I wanted to see the strongest back five we could possibly put out to get more cohesion there. Midfield wise, I mean, Morsey was always going to play, but of course his is a suspension, but he will come in. But I would have liked to have seen, unless he's going to start Carroll on Saturday, I would have liked to have seen one of Evans or Harper play alongside him and get a bit more, get that kind of understanding, because at the moment the issue and this is the problem I've got, it's not our defense necessarily that is the issue. For me, it's the shape, and the fact that the team don't seem to understand the shape, especially in midfield, and that's where the problems are coming. There's no cover for the back four. The wide players are having to cut in and try and nullify that space. And in Cook's attacking philosophy, the fullbacks are bombing on. But then that's leaving tons of space in behind. Kane Vincent-Young is nowhere near it at the moment. Again, on Tuesday night, he was just chugging back after losing the ball high up the pitch. It's just lucky on Tuesday he wasn't playing against a team that was as ruthless as Saturday. And of course, he got hooked on Saturday for that. So it is concerning, and I just wonder if Cook maybe has to look at a way of maybe trying to get results at this stage and trying to be more defensively solid. The moment I would not object to a boring, the ball came off somebody's backside in the 90th minute 1-0 win at Lincoln on Saturday. I really could. I would not object to that at all, because it's all good being attacking, but we've gone from one extreme to the other where we've had McCarthy and Lambert, and we hardly see a shot on goal, let alone actually scoring anything, to then suddenly we look good going forward and players are exciting, but we can't keep anything stum at the back. We've got the second worst Football League record at the moment of conceding goals. The only team worse than us is Reading. And it's just, and the teams that we've played, you have to put that into context. It is pretty embarrassing. So regardless of whether they need to gel or not, that's embarrassing, the teams we've played. And at the moment, it is really concerning. But Tuesday was just for me, it was a no-win situation. Cook wins it. It's West Ham under 21s. if Cook loses it, he gets vilified even more. So at the end of the day, it's just one of those games, get it out. But he could have used it better, in my opinion.
Definitely well said as ever. And we will get to the big talking point, and that is Paul Cook and what needs to change. Before that, though, we'll go to Brad. You've heard what everyone else has said. I'm sure you're going to echo their thoughts. What's your thoughts on this Papa John's Trophy game against West Ham under-21s and losing it, of course, and the team selection?
Yeah, I completely agree with Liam on team selection. There's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't have seen the same back five. I know fitness plays an issue, but why not play Evanson and Coulson for 60 minutes just to give them that cohesion you need? You can't recreate match situations in training. You can do your best to, but you can't. It's not the same. So them spending 5 days this week on Playford Road, going through the same motions, just playing 60 minutes at West Ham would have been much, much more for them than what just training would be, because you just can't recreate it. I've got to say, to be honest, I'm not too bothered about competition. When people say no wins in 8, I still say no wins in 6, because the lead is everything, and I just see the lead. I'm sorry about that, but I do. But yeah, I just think it's an opportunity missed. Like Liam said, that it was a game which you could have used better. Yes, it's West Ham under-21s. I'm embarrassed that we lost to them. Of course I am. And given that it was it wasn't a strong team, but you've definitely got enough out there to beat West Ham. And it's a bit of a lie, really, and how Cook is saying to these fans, the 4-2-3-1 fans which went down there, which was poetic in itself. But you're going to get a strong side tonight, and then you see the squad, you see the team on paper, and this is like you've been lied to, isn't it? I didn't go Tuesday night, but I bet you're all pretty pissed off when you read that team on your way down there. So fans are paying customers, and you want to get fans to the ground, so don't lie to them, is what I'd say.
Definitely. And Liam, Francine, everyone.
Also, one more point about Tuesday night. To say, only Holy appreciated the fans at the end, acknowledged us in any way. Every other member of that team just walked off the pitch, and I think that's disgraceful. You know, we've been to some pretty terrible games over the years. Just in the last couple of years, Lincoln away 5-3, the Lincoln 1-0 in the cup. Players still came over to the fans, knowing they would get a full load of grief, but they still came over, appreciated the fact that we came to the game. I don't care if there's one person there or if there's 25,000 people there. Players have to, I think, come and appreciate us. And you wouldn't have seen that last year. You wouldn't have seen a team with Chambers or Scouse, even if they were on the bench, they would not have accepted the players just walking off the pitch. And that to me is worrying, because it says to me no one in that dressing room is showing they care, which is a big worry, in my opinion.
Okay. I'll sort of hand up there, Liam, and then we'll go back to you, Francine, to talk about what needs to change and all that sort of stuff. Liam, to end on the West Ham defeat.
I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more on the point that Mark made about running towards adversity, this kind of showing effort. On Saturday, the 2 goals that were conceded at the start of the second half, yes, it was a sucker punch to concede right on the break, but the second half they didn't get going, and they just let Bolton have the freedom of Ipswich to get those 2 goals. They gave them so much time to give them extra opportunities to score. And Tuesday night, they got ahead, and then as soon as that equaliser went in, I saw nothing in terms of, especially second half, nothing in terms of effort going forward. They let the game drift. It was like they just couldn't be bothered. They just let it drift. They didn't look a threat. And then the only time that they suddenly started looking a threat was as soon after the penalty had been scored, where they started playing balls wide and trying to get them in the box. And it's really frustrating. But even with it being a second string team, they just didn't look up for it. That second half, they just let it drift. And I'm just thankful that the ticket was free, to be honest.
Yeah, for some people it was. And that's the next question. Good segue into, what needs to change, and your thoughts on Paul Cook at the moment. I know a lot of people are on the fence at the moment, and we'll get everyone's thoughts on this. I hate doing this every week. We're doing how long's he got and all those sort of questions on Paul Cook, but it's a big talking point every week because he's coming out saying different things and we're not getting wins on the board. So Francine, over to you. What needs to change and your feelings on Paul Cook at the moment?
I want Paul Cook to succeed. I'm upset because that would mean that we're succeeding. I don't want us to become one of those clubs. Someone mentioned Forest earlier. I read this amazing stat today about how many managers they've sacked in the past 10 years. I don't want us to become a club like that. The great thing about Ipswich has been the fact that we give managers time, and the fact that, the amount of managers we've had in our whole history, some clubs have had in the past, 10 years. He does need a plan B. I know that 4-2-3-1 is his preferred formation, but at the moment it doesn't work, especially, like Liam said, with the fullbacks, effectively wing backs, bombing forward. Without a central midfield able to drop back, then it's not working. So he either needs to change the formation, or he needs to tell Coulson and either Vincent Young or Danasia, wherever it is at right back, to stay back, because every team has far too much space behind our defence. Once they get past the midfield, which they do far too easily, it's effectively just the two centre backs having to defend their whole width of the pitch. There is a concern for me that he is putting too much pressure on Morsey and Selina to change our season. And that's not just him, it's a fan thing as well. You see on social media, it'll be fine when Morsey comes in. Morsey will change it. He's that midfielder we need. Why have we only got, if that position is so important, why did we only get one on deadline day? But I'm far too concerned that, he's effectively being given God status, and he is going to change our season. Selina is going to change our season. When they don't, who is? For a player to have that much responsibility on their shoulders is quite a lot. So yeah, I think he just needs a plan B. I want him to succeed. But I worry that if he doesn't, the longer we leave it, the more it does become a relegation battle. And I don't think we can leave it till Christmas if things don't, because that's been said by a few people. We leave it to Christmas, there's every chance that we're fighting to stay up. And that shouldn't be a conversation that we are having. We've got good players. You see that with the individual goals that they score. We've got good players. So we should not be thinking that next season we might be in League Two. So if the change does happen, it has to happen sooner rather than later, in my opinion. But I do want him to succeed again today. But yeah.
Yeah, I think we all do. And I was not expecting to be recording a Fan Social podcast in September and talking about all this sort of stuff. I thought, at the start of the preview show, I thought, oh my God, September's going to be amazing times and all that. But we're Town fans after all. Bloomers, over to you. What needs to change and your current mood on Paul Cook?
Right, rant time.
Here we go.
I'm like that bloke out of that Spanish TV show, aren't I?
Yep.
Don't ask me to pronounce it because I can't.
Don't ask me either.
TikTok. Because, right, this is going to bounce around all over the place, so I might need someone to rein us in here. But I completely agree with the end of what Francine just said. Things do need to change sooner rather than later. And look, We all want Ipswich to succeed. Of course we do. I want Paul Cook to succeed. I know he's had a really hard time of it as well. So anything I say right now, and I've said before, is all purely on obviously what's happening on the pitch right now. But nothing against the man at all. And I hope he steers through a difficult period of his life. Okay. It is baffling that things have gone wrong as quickly as they have and as badly as they have. But at the end of the day, they have. Okay. In the past, Ipswich Town have let all these managers have time, whether they should have had them or not. Okay, fine, right? But it's the 21st century, and the sort of novel idea of having a manager in charge for 14 years just doesn't happen anymore. It just doesn't happen anymore, and it doesn't matter if we have 4 managers this season, but we go up. Who cares, right? No one cares. Someone with a glint in their eye is in their senior years might care, right? Or someone younger might care as well. I don't, and I would put money on that the vast majority of people wouldn't, as long as we go up. Okay. Sometimes you just have to admit things are wrong, and like sometimes you just have to put a line in the sand and go, right, okay, it's not working. Like this is a very asinine example, but Aston Villa had Roberto Di Matteo in charge in I think it was their first season in the Championship. I think it lasted about 8 games. They just went, it's not working, move on. And they didn't do it because he's a bad manager. Like, he won the Champions League a couple of years before he went to Villa. But for whatever reason, it wasn't working. The owners, I think it was a different ownership to the one at the time now, but it was still a ownership which went, look, we need to get back in the Premier League. This guy's not going to do it. Let's move on. And okay, they had a few different turns in the road before they finally got there. But that kind of thinking is what served Watford so well. You know, I know that's the exception rather than the norm, but I'm not saying that also that a new manager would suddenly solve all our issues. What I'm saying is look at what's on the pitch right now. Look at everything that you've all been saying, the last year you've been saying, and what does it add up to? Well, there you go. Like, plug the gaps in yourself. I was like, I remember joking around with my friend. I think it was after, I don't know, it wasn't after the Bolton game. It might have been the game before. Just before the international break, just being like, look, I can see the Cambridge game being quite tasty. Like the Cambridge game next month when it's an away game, it's as of this season, our local derby for the time being, and a bad result there, and you can see the fans turning like that, especially the fans that are going to be in that ground on the day. I'd say I'd be odds against him being there for the Cambridge game at this rate. For me, there's 3 games now. We've got it coming up in quite short succession. You've got the Lincoln game on Saturday. You've got the Sheffield Wednesday game at home next Saturday. A, tough game. B, they're actually not in a good run themselves. And then C, after that, it's Doncaster at home on a Tuesday night. If there's no wins out of those 3, I think he's gone. And also, a little quirky stat. We love getting rid of a manager midweek. McCarthy, Hurst, I'm pretty sure Lambert as well, all went in midweek. So
I think Roy Keane probably as well. I think midweek.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember, but like, it's just something to think about. I think we've had bad runs in the past under Keane, like 16 games without a win at the start of the season. We've had bad runs and like bad starts to the season in the past, but like maybe this level of reaction hasn't been there. And I know the takeover and the high expectations kind of go hand in hand with that. But we wouldn't be, or the majority of Town fans wouldn't be reacting the way they are if we're doing this run, but the continuation of getting gubbed in the 96th minute like has been happening. But that's a long, long time ago. That's not happening right now. What's happening now is a systematic breakdown of a team on the pitch for whatever reason. That's the reason that the level of anger is swelled up, because there just seems to be nothing there. We don't have just the last point, because I'm approaching Liam levels of length here. I'm only joking, Liam, don't worry.
It's very true.
We like it baffles me that people can go there and be like, oh yeah, have it till Christmas, like, you know, or here's me. He's definitely gonna be here for the whole season. Really? Like, as Francine said, we're gonna be a relegation fight in 8 games' time if we don't pick up another win. You know, or at the very least, if we're not in a relegation fight and we get out of it, great. But we've screwed up every expectation or every hope of getting into the top 2, and then the top 6 is just an absolute crapshoot. So, and that wasn't the plan at the start of the season. If people would have said at the start of the season, oh, we're going to finish 6th, quite a lot of people would have been like, well, I'm disappointed in that. But all of a sudden, in the space of 7 games, it's like, oh, shit, we better aim for 6th. So, it's so... Football's so reactionary and it's so quick and things change so quickly. But the fact that we've gone from where we were at the start of the season to this, and, a lot of it's justified because of what we're seeing on the pitch, does that not spell it out for anyone who's listening that things, need to change? And if that's the manager, so be it. If you really want to do a who should be the next manager, let's just wait until he gets sacked, because I'm not even going to go in the business of predicting a new manager.
No, we should not do that. We're very level-headed here on this show. But I think some good points there made by Bloomers. And I think that is going to be now the rest of this talking point on Cook. Sort of what Bloomers has said. I want to see what Mark, Liam, Brad's got to say. And Francine, you can pick up as well at some stage. But Mark, any talking points there that Bloomers said that you want to agree with, disagree with? Up to you, my friend.
There's a lot of things there that Bloomer said that I do agree with. Yeah, I have a number of questions about Cook and Ipswich Town, and I had a long debate with my father last night, and he asked me this question. I didn't really think about this. Was Cook their appointment? And I thought, no, he wasn't their appointment. But they gave him his full back. They gave him their full backing when they took over Ipswich Town. They said that he was their first choice. He would have been the man they'd gone for first. I'm starting to, as I think about this now, I'm thinking, was he really top of their shopping list? Was he really their first choice? Are they going to stand by him for the whole season? Are we going to be still debating this in Christmas if we are lower mid-table or in the relegation zone? I really don't know. That's an interesting point, because I hadn't really considered it before, but I'm not sure that he was their first choice. And having taken over a club and invested all this money to be stuck with a manager who's not achieving and who probably wasn't their first choice, you wonder how long it's going to be till they pull the trigger. Put that to one side. I want him to do well, and I want Ipswich Town to do well. But I do feel at the moment there's a great deal of tactical naivety, and I really do feel that backroom staff. Mick Mills said it on game 2. They're very inexperienced, and I really would like to see somebody alongside him with a bit of tactical nous, because as Francine said, we've got good players. What we haven't got is a good team. And to turn good players into a good team, you need one thing, and that's a blooming good coach or a good set of coaches. And I don't think we have that at the moment. My concern is that there's some tactical naivety there. There's some poor decision making. There's a great deal of Lambert style inflexibility with his 4-2-3-1, which drives me around the bend. Burns apparently can play right back. Why haven't we seen Burns having a go at right back? Because Vincent Young seems to have lost several yards of pace, from where he was when he first started, and Burns is flying. If we're going to have flying wingers, why don't we give him a go? Why don't we just put 3 in midfield and just play it tight for 90 minutes and sneak a 1-0 for Christ's sake? Do it Mick McCarthy style. We need a victory. We really do. Why are we playing a number 10 who is largely irrelevant? Can you please give me an example of what any of our numerous number 10s have done this season that would lead you to believe that they can grasp a game by the scruff of their neck and actually dictate play, and build attacks? Because it's a pivotal role, that number 10. If you're going to play 2 sitting midfielders, that number 10 really does need to be getting on the ball, dictating play, playing it to the wingers, the fullbacks who are flying up and really bossing that, the forward part of the midfield. I don't see that happening at all. I really don't see that happening. And whoever's played there hasn't done that. And to suddenly believe that Celine is going to come in and do that is fairyland, really. Bless him. He's not been well. He's not going to come back in and turn into Ronaldo or Messi. It's just not going to happen. Not in League One. So yeah, I want Cook to succeed. I do feel that he does need some support. He really does need somebody alongside him to put him to one side and say, look, Paul, this isn't working. We need to rethink about this, because we've tried this now. What's the definition of madness? Is doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same results, isn't it? And that's exactly what we're doing. We're playing the same formation, and we're going nowhere. So yeah. As far as I'm concerned, he's going to have a bit more time, because again, he signed a plethora of players, and a lot of them have links with him. I listened to a very interesting thing on the Monday Night Football Club about Liverpool, how they systematically identify players, and they identify players with a very clear criteria, so that whoever is the manager, those players will remain their pick for a reason. I've never liked this idea of picking players who played for a manager before, because what happens when the manager goes. Somebody comes in, doesn't like them, and it's a huge turnaround. We start again. I'd like to think that those players were identified not just because Paul Cook fancied them when they were on his list. You know, I think I'd like to think there was a clear criteria for why they would fit in Ipswich Town. So stop rambling now. But I think he's going to get more time. I think he needs to have a little bit more time. But I do really think that he needs somebody alongside him to help him out through this. And I think that we need to become tactically more flexible. And let's settle for a dirty 1-0 and a headed goal from a corner in the 93rd minute. I'd be more than happy with that.
Yeah, I think we just want to win, don't we? Liam, once again, I'm sure you're going to echo what the Francine, Bloomers and Marcus said. Any other talking points from those discussions there that you want to bring up? Anything you agree with, disagree with, and your current state on Paul Cook?
The number 10 is quite interesting that Mark makes that, because the number 10 was Chaplin on Saturday, and every ball that was played to him was played about 2 foot above his head. And it's a bit like we've talked about the midfield. Now, the problem is all the chances at the moment are coming from the flanks, either the wide players or the bombing on fullback. Nothing is coming through the centre of the field, which basically makes that number 10 completely a passing, just null and void. And Saturday was ridiculous. I mean, the number of ball, it reminded me almost very, very closely to the horrific night against Fleetwood at home, where Suter was winning every ball in the air. Every ball that went forward towards Chaplin, and he's got this massive, massive centre half behind him, and he had no chance. I've said this. I think he needs to go more solid. He needs to change something to make it more solid. And just look, if he wants to play this going forward, work on it on the training ground. Work on it, get it going. But for the time being, potentially change something in the game at the moment so that we're harder to beat. And hopefully, with the quality that we've got, we should start winning games, even if it's only by the odd goal or two. The quality we've got should be enough to win us those games, as long as we're harder to beat, and we'll get those results. At the moment, it's all well and good saying, well, the entertainment factor's better, but it's not bringing results. The biggest worry I've got is that the first 5 games before Bolton, you could say in every game that Town were in it and lost the big moment in the game. The big turning point, the big moment that happens, Town lost every single one of them, and that's how they ended up either not winning the game or obviously going on to lose it. Saturday, after 2 weeks on the training field with not having a game, where we all thought that would be great, that's something now they can have 2 weeks away, worked really hard, and all of a sudden it was an absolute shit show. Just the shape was just absolutely all over the place, and that's the worry for me. That you could see in those first 5 games there is something there, but there needs to be something to tighten it up at the back. But now, after that Bolton game, I don't know what to think, because everything was just so bad. And Cook himself, I think it's a moot point, to be honest. I think he will get time. I don't think he will be sacked before Christmas. And I think that's the way forward. I think that's the way Ashton is looking at it, in his words of, you've got to give people time to do things, and the change management on this level was always going to take time. I agree, though, that we should have done better right now, and things do have to change quickly. I think it's a bit sensationalist to start bringing out the R word. I don't think for 1 second that we will get relegated, or that we'll be any part of the relegation battle. This might come back to bite me, but I don't think we will be any part of that. But for me, what might be worse is just finishing mid-table again. because we've been sold this vision, and it's no better than the last 2 seasons with a squad that was vastly inferior in terms of talent. And I that for me, I think would be, well, obviously relegation would be worse, but I don't think we will be in there. I think we have a good enough side to stay away from that. But at the moment, I would take 6th, as Blue said. I would take it right now. But I'm still hopeful things will come together. But it is, the longer it goes, the harder it is going to be to defend him. And I agree with pretty much what everyone has said. But from a tactical point of view at the moment, it's very worrying because it's not good enough. So yeah, I hope this will be just completely thrown away after a win on Saturday. But the longer this goes, yeah, it's going to be a lot harder. But he will still be our manager come at least November, I think. So that's the very least.
Well, that's probably going to be a talking point in a few weeks' time. How long has Paul Cook got? That's probably, I'm predicting that now, probably. I hate to say that, but it could be happening. Brad, over to you. And one sort of quote that Paul Cook said after the West Ham game is that we're soft. Well, soft touch, sorry. Misquoting him there. But yeah, your thoughts on that and what everyone said?
Well, it's a strange one, isn't it? Because he's completely built this squad in his image and what he wants it to be. So if he calls his own players soft, that's a bit worrying, isn't it? Look, I like Paul Cook. I do. I like his personality. I find him quite infectious. I want him to succeed desperately. But it tactically is really, really worrying me. Tactically, it's the biggest thing for me. And do I honestly think it would be any better if there was a number 2? Not necessarily. Because I think that he's a control freak. I think it's a complete control freak. I mean, he says about having people around him that he can trust. There was never really a mention of like an actual coach he wanted at all, or it was just about people he could trust. How do we not know that Liam Richardson was just one of his minions that he could trust? I mean, people are saying to me, like, if Richardson, we should have paid $5 million for Richardson. We don't know that he did the training. We don't know that at all. I mean, from what I've seen from little clips and videos and what I've heard from people, Cook controls a lot. So how do we know what bidding influence Richardson did have? If he has somebody like McGrill coming from the outside and starts telling them this, that, McGrill will last probably 2 weeks. So I'm worried. I am seriously worried about Cook in that sense, because tactically, like I said, I think it's a control freak, but tactically, he's got to have some humility. He's got to realise that his plan isn't working because it's hurting us massively. And one simple change I think he could make is just the fullbacks. I know that his play is built around fullbacks bombing on, but when the ball's at left back, you don't need Vincent Young to be up on the pitch like a right winger. Just leaves an absolute massive hole. You don't need it. And because Ben Burns is tucked in for some reason, and yet Burns could be doing that, and Vincent Young could just be in his position, basically. And last season, we had James out at fullbacks. So, yes, you really did notice the fullbacks because we didn't have wingers who could beat their man. So you wanted to have fullbacks who could rampage on and offer something on the outside, wouldn't you? But this season, we have Edwards and Burns who can beat their man like that, who Burns did twice on a weekend to get a ball into the box and we scored twice from. So I don't think we really need fullbacks to rampage on as they do. We could quite easily have fullbacks which are just sitting in, keeping their shape, because the shape is the main thing, isn't it? Once one's gone, leaves a massive hole. And even when you're tracking back, wingers, I'm not seeing wingers track back. If their fullback comes up, don't have so much arrogance to say he's not going to do anything. You track your man, you go back with him, because how many times we've got a 2-on-1 on the sides as well. And central players about this box. I've been hearing a lot about this box. If the right back goes, you've got to have Morsley or Evans go out wide. Edmondson go out wide. If there's one thing that centre halves hate, it's being dragged out wide. I don't like it personally. And again, the number 10. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of known about tactics here, I know, but we were completely outcoached Saturday. But number 10, Josh Sheehan, he showed Connor Chapman how to play that role. He was everywhere. Every time the ball was on the sides, he was within 5 yards of it. Chaplin was absolutely anomalous. Last season, our striker was too isolated because Judge would do whatever the hell he wanted, or the number 10 would drop too deep. This season, it's like he's a second striker. I don't get what the number 10 is actually doing. The number 10 has to run the game. He has to go looking for the ball. Yes, okay, Selena might change that. He might be the answer. Morsey might change midfield, probably might be the answer. But you've brought in 21 players. You can't just then rely on your last 2 deadline day signings to then be the ones which are this magical answer. It's really, really worrying. And I just think you've got to have a bit more humility, because at the minute we've tried to turn water into wine without the actual process of turning that water into wine. It's like, we're going to play this way. We're going to absolutely rocket the lead. And in the time of adversity, he needs to have humility and just say, look, let's just sit in a little bit. That doesn't take any tactical genius just to say, look, don't bomb on that time. Just stay back a little bit. Choose your moments when to go. Because at the minute, what he's trying to do is a shape. Where at Wigan, he had a team for 3 years. That's the shape he had at the end of it. I doubt it was like that when he first came in. You've got to take time to get there. And like others have said, just become a bit more defensively solid and just try and nick a win. Okay, it might not be pretty. You might not see fullbacks bombing on, but be a hell of a lot more solid. It's just bloody mad at the minute, isn't it? I mean, I'm sitting there with my dad on Saturday and we're going 1-0 up, and I'm saying to him after 1-1, it's like, this is absolutely bonkers. Like, any second we can score, any second we can save. It's just, you can't play 90 minutes like that, because that's not game management. You can't just go up the other end and then the other team comes. It's like a basketball match. You can't have that. You've got to play the game. And at the minute, it's just like the result could be 5-5. It's just bloody mad. So yeah, a lot of things there need to change tactically for me. I think he gets 12 games, because then that's a quarter of the season. I think if you get 12 games, 0 wins is gone. Because the Americans, for me, I know we're saying that Kurt's got to get time in that, but they have made it very, very, very paramount in their interviews that promotion is everything this season. And I don't think they're going to care about Paul Kurt first. They've probably not even met him yet. They are the guys who are making the decisions. They can overrule Ashton. And what they're seeing on the Saturday is results. They're not seeing performances. And up until Saturday, we were seeing performances which could lead to results. But on Saturday, that it was just incredibly, incredibly worrying. So yeah, I think he gets 12 games before that could be pulled. I don't want to see it. I really want him to succeed. We've had the biggest change in backroom, in playing staff in our history. You can't expect that to be magic overnight, but you can expect at least 1 win, 6 games we've played at least.
Yeah, it is worrying and it is mad. And we'll go and bring some more lighter stuff, but I'm going to go to Francine because she is waving her pen about. She wants to speak. So go ahead, Francine.
Just something that Brad mentioned about, and that you mentioned about Paul Kurt's comments and quotes in his press conferences. They mirror last season. Last season, he told us that whole squad had to go because they didn't care about the club. They didn't care if they won or lost. They had no desire, no fight. On Saturday, he said the squad didn't have fight. He said that they didn't have the aggression and the hunger. Why? When he, as was said, he brought players to fit his image. He wanted players that had hunger, that had fight, because he said we didn't have that last season. And he's already 6 games in, bringing out the same quotes, while at the same time saying he won't throw players under the bus. I'd say that is throwing players under the bus, because he's saying they don't have the hunger to win. Why is he saying the same things when he's got 21 different players? That's worrying.
Yeah, it's got to be wound up again now. It's like, because
sorry,
because he gets a free ride for the whole of last season, and people seem to forget we were in like the top 7 when he took over. We were well primed for a playoff.
He's told us though, hasn't he? He said when it was put to him by Sky, 4 wins in 24 since you took over. he said to them, "Don't count last season."
Yeah. All right, then. Let's not
Simply.
count last season. 0 wins and 6. How does that sound?
It's worse. His win percentage is worse if he ignores last season.
Does anyone else think it's, by the way, I don't know if we even talk about it enough. What other professional football club do you know that doesn't have an assistant manager? Like, that's football manager levels of like, you can't be bothered to appoint someone, so you've just left it.
Yeah, I even appoint someone every time I go on Football Manager, though, because it helps me do my job.
Yeah, there's an ask assistant button for a reason. Yeah. Even the greatest managers of all time, like Alex Ferguson, put it this way. Okay, you have some managers who are synonymous with their assistants, like Brian Clough and Peter Taylor. But then even in the relatively modern era, Alex Ferguson had about 8 different assistant managers in his time at United, like Carlos Queiroz, Steve McLaren. These ones just off the top of my head, and it didn't the reason there was a churn is because there was new ideas coming in, and he was always willing to listen. And Paul Cook is not Alex Ferguson.
Didn't Paul Cook say that in that thing he did with the fans that if it wasn't Liam Richardson, it was no one? Isn't that what I think I read him somewhere. He said that he didn't want an assistant if he couldn't have Richardson.
Well, around our level,
and he didn't need one.
Around our level, assistant managers are pretty much, they follow their manager, don't they? Because, Mick McCarthy, Terry Connor. How much do we actually know what went on with Terry Connor on the training ground? We know that he did striking sessions. We always heard about them. You have players. You have managers like Steve Evans. His bloke always follows him everywhere. You don't really know how big an influence they have, but they're people they can trust. So, I like we were saying, the control freak that Cook seems to be. I can't see him going and get some bloke who's a great coach like Liam Mann. I can't see him going and get him in as assistant manager, because managers just generally they are the arrogant ones. They just like to have people who listen to them and follow their orders. I mean, when I was playing, I never had an assistant manager who really gave his own ideas or coached the team in any specific way. It was all relayed onto the manager, and then you'd have a bit of banter with that assistant manager because he's not your boss, so you could get away with it a little bit. And to me, that's how I see assistant managers at that level anyway.
You're
muted again. Guys. I know I am. Yeah, Mark, I saw you put your hand up. You want to come in?
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to mention, Bobby Robson had Bobby Ferguson, George Burley had Dale Roberts, both trusted assistants and good coaches. I'm staggered why he hasn't got an assistant coach, because, it seems that every other, football club in the country seems to have an assistant coach, and whether or not they're a yes man, it's a different set of ideas, and surely 2 heads are better than 1. It's got to be worth it, even if it's only to have somebody to bounce your ideas off. You need that, don't you? Someone to clear your head and open up your
experience. Like, it's all very well giving people the like Gary Roberts a pathway into coaching, but when you've got
his coaching badges yet,
when you've got 3 the 3 first team backroom staff are all new to coaching, we've got no experience back there, no one with any specialists. I know we joke about like Terry Connor and stuff, but having someone, a defensive minded coach, doesn't have to be assistant manager, but just someone experienced, a defensive minded coach. Terry Butcher, why wasn't he kept around to help out a bit? Because that kind of experience and things could have made all the difference.
Do you think he underestimated League One?
Yes.
Do you think he's underestimated League One? He's gone, I don't need an assistant. I can get promoted by myself. Because surely he needs one. The higher we go up the pyramid.
Well, he's gone from saying
he needs one for the championship.
He's gone from saying about League One that we are the big club in League One who everyone wants to beat, and there's a pressure on us to do well. Every club's going to come here and beat us because we are that big club, to saying there's lots of big clubs in League One. So I think, Sunderland, Sheffield Wednesday, Portsmouth, he's completely changed opinion. So yeah, I do think he completely underestimated the teams in this league and what this league was about.
Which would be foolish, considering he's done it. He's been promoted twice before, so surely he knows the figures of getting promoted.
You think so?
I think we should stop there. I think there's a lot to say. I know you're about to sack Mark there, but I think we should stop there. Time out. And I think we should go a bit, lift the mood a little bit, and bring the strike, and then we'll get back into Lincoln City this Saturday. But yeah, great chat there, guys. Loved it. That's fantastic. But let's hit the strike jingle. You guys in this chat won't hear it, but the people listening and people watching won't hear it either. So, but jingle, go. Okay, we're back. Let's get to it then. The topic of the strike is Lincoln City. Hey! No one cares. We have 5 questions with a tiebreaker, and it is all about our games against Lincoln, played for both, and all that sort of stuff. Last week, Tom Baines won it last week. He pretty much won it by the last question. So can someone beat that? So question 1, and it will come on the screen below. Oh, yes, Brad?
Yeah, just quickly, I just want to say, favourite for new manager if he does go, this man here, Michael Appleton, 100%. Worked with Ashton at Oxford and Michael O'Leary. Put your money on that, is what I say. Okay.
He won't come though because he's got a good job at Lincoln. But question 1 is how many games have Town won? Yeah, we won games before against Lincoln in 18 meetings. So whoever gets closest to the correct point gets the point. The correct answer. Yeah, you get what I mean. You've done this before. 18 games. Of course, a lot of those meetings. Yeah, writing it down. Yeah, I did text you, but you must have not got my message. I meant to say beforehand. Yeah, of course, we had a long gap of meetings against Lincoln until, of course, them famous FA Cup games. Are you all ready? Okay, everyone, bring up their answer.
I better write it a bit bigger then. Hang on.
Oh, yeah, I'm blind.
Right.
Okay, what's that? What's that, Liam? I can't read that. 14,
That was a
9, 7, 6. Would you go again? 6. And someone is bang on. It is 7. It is 7. Bloomers makes it 1-0. What was your think behind that answer there?
Well, I was going to put 6 because that's a third, and that seems obviously like a law of averages. And then I remembered we actually beat Lincoln in the Cup replay the other year, so I put it up by 1.
Yeah, and that question will come up very soon, but we'll get to that in a second. Question 2 is on Teddy Bishop. Of course, he's going to score against us this Saturday, a standard. But how many appearances did Teddy Bishop make during his time at Town? Of course, most of that was injured, but he did play last season a lot of games, and of course, that first season in the playoff campaign, he made an impact. Of course, his debut season. I think he scored 5 goals in total. I don't know if that's a clue. 5 goals in how many games? Question 2. Whenever you're all ready, show me your answer. 110 is gone there. Bloom is 89. 90.
Oh, undercut, yeah.
Liam, like 45?
Yeah.
Yeah.
45!
Jesus. And Mark's got 93. It's actually more than you think. It's 132.
Friggin'
Yeah,
hell.
because last season he made his 100th appearance, didn't he? And how we all said that how long it's taken him, like 6-7 years to get 100 appearances.
Of course, all competitions, of course. It's not just league appearances. Did I not say? Oh, I don't know. But who got closest again? Sorry,
Brad.
Okay. What did you say?
110.
110. Okay, that's good. All right then. 1-1, and the rest got 0. Question 3 is on that Alan Judge late winner. Who set him up though for the goal? Can you remember?
Oh.
I got 3 options.
Oh.
Was it Idris El Mazouni, Anthony Georgiou, remember him, or Miles Kenlock? Remember him? He's still here apparently. Currently with the under-23s. Yeah. What a night that was. A freezing night in November. And finally winning an FA Cup game, because that was the night. And Miles Kenlock. You spelt Miles wrong there, Mark. But all right. Idris El Mazouni. C. You got Kenlock as well. El Mazouni. C. It is El Mazouni. Al Mazzuni.
Ah.
So Brad makes it 2-1-1. Liam and Mark still on nil. Now, last season. This is an opportunity now for you to get your point. Question 4. Who scored the equaliser in the 1-1 draw with Lincoln at Portman Road last season? You have options. Do not worry. Was it James Norwood, James Wilson, or my former boy, Guion Edwards? 1-1 against Lincoln. I think did they get a penalty? No, that was the away game when Toto did a Toto. C. Wilson, James Wilson.
What are the options again? Sorry.
James Wilson, James Norwood, or my former boy.
For us to put up our answer.
I know, but you could be wrong. I should have told you guys not to do it straight away, but you put it up anyway. Wilson. Did anyone go Wilson then? Has anyone gone Wilson?
Yeah, Wilson.
Yeah, look, he's even crossed out what you've written.
What have you crossed out?
Stewart's inquiry, please.
I gotta say, I just remembered the goal literally as somebody said Wilson.
Was the inkling because it was one of the 3 options?
Right? I just literally, as soon as someone said Wilson, I was like, yes, that header.
Well, you all get a point.
Adjudication here, Ross.
Yeah.
I want to see, Brad. I want to see what was your previous. I forgot the scoring anyway.
Oh, I crossed out Wilson and put Wilson. Don't worry, mate.
Okay, we'll see. It can still change to this final question. We are a couple of us are heading to Sincil Bank or whatever their sponsor is now. But what is the attendance of the Sincil Bank Stadium? Closest to the correct gets the point. If you get it bang on.
Do you mean capacity?
Yeah, capacity. Yeah, attendance. Yeah, whatever. That's probably I should have done that.
Capacity.
Yeah, that's the proper word, isn't it? Attendance is when you do the attendance. Yeah. But yeah, capacity 9,000. Okay. 9,742. 6,000. 10,568. 10,650.
Yeah.
It's 10,120. So.
I didn't think it was that big when I was there. Maybe that's because there was only one little food hut.
No, it was over
Yeah.
10,000. I knew it was over 10,000.
I don't know who's won, to be honest.
Liam.
Oh, okay, but I don't know who's won the whole thing.
We're all winners because we're actually town fans. We're all winners.
Let's do a tiebreaker. Let's do a tiebreaker to decide who will win. I think Brad maybe won overall because I think he got I don't know. But yeah, this is a tiebreaker and a player who's played for both. And good old Danny Rowe. Remember him? But how many games did he play for Town in his 3-year spell? I don't know where Danny Rowe is now. Do you know where he is?
Well, he was at Burton, but I don't know now.
Yeah, it might be. I think he is Burton.
Chesterfield. No, that's a different Danny Rowe. That's the other Danny Rowe. Let me get the other guy up. Yeah, he's still at Burton. He wasn't on the bench when he played us, did he? But anyway, how many games? He scored 1 goal. Little clue if you need a clue. During
those shirt number.
17, 24, 24. What are you on for? I can't see that. 35. Can Liam get it bang on? What's he gone for?
Tom's gone for 10,000.
I went 35.
He's got the same as mine.
I've gone
35.
The answer is... Did Francine and Mark go the same as well?
Yeah, we both went 24.
The answer is 29. So do Francine and Mark win? Do they win?
Yeah.
They win. Oh, there we go. A debut for Francine and a win for Mark. I ain't got another tiebreaker, unfortunately. So yeah. I think whoever gets the prediction right for this weekend wins the strike for this week. But let's
Is that the segue?
That's segue pretty much because we're now getting to an hour and 15 minutes of this podcast. So I think it's time to sort of wrap it up. But it's been a great show. But your feelings going into this game, Francine, over to you. Your prediction. Do you think anything will change? Do you think Paul Cook will have a few days to reflect on the games and go, well, maybe I need to switch up a few things, or what do you reckon? What's your prediction?
I don't think he'll change. I think he's too stubborn to change formation. I'm slightly worried. See, Lincoln won 5-1 last weekend away to Cambridge, so they're going to be full of confidence, and we're not, because we got beat 5-2 at home. So I think we have to use them. If we're going to have the number 10, we have to use them properly. We cannot, whether it's Chaplin, whether Selena plays there, whether Fraser comes back in and plays there, we cannot basically hoof it up to them, because that's not any of their game. Selena, I think, could be vital if he starts. I don't want to put loads of pressure on him, but I think he did really well at the championship level for us, so I think he could be quite important for us this weekend. Having said I'm worried, I can never.
Stop clicking your pen.
Sorry. I don't ever like saying we're going to lose. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Town win, because I just don't like saying... I don't like saying we'll lose. So...
Well, I'm going to say that we're going to lose 2-0. So there we go. That's my prediction. I'm sorry to be very negative, but Lincoln looked like a good side.
Maybe I'm too positive. I just can't say it. I don't like saying we'll lose. So I'm going to be optimistic. Yeah,
go for it. I'm hoping we will do. But yeah, Bloomers, over to you. What do you reckon then, my friends? Lincoln's not been a great place for us to go to in recent times. Are we going to get our first win, or is it going to be another miserable day in Lincoln?
Yeah, it's not been a good hunting ground. I was at the 1-0 FA Cup game. I'm quite confident saying it's probably one of the worst games I've ever seen at Town play. Certainly nothing off the top of my head can beat that. I'm going to keep this quite succinct, because I'm sure people want to stop listening now. They probably got home and they're sitting in their driveway listening to this now. So I'm more than a little worried. I'm terrified. Surely, he learns his lesson and tries to make us a little bit more compact against a team that are no pushovers at home. However, I do agree. I don't think he's going to change too much, unfortunately. In terms of prediction, I mean, it's quite easy, really. Just put the other team to have 2, because that seems to happen most of the time. So what do we get? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Take your pick. I'll go for 2-1. So 2-1 Lincoln. And we'll be having another similar conversation on Thursday, or whoever will be doing the other podcast next week will be having a similar conversation with you on Thursday.
So I should just play this episode out next week as well. Okay.
Yeah, well, same as it ever was can be the tagline for next week.
Well, there we go. That's sorted. Headline's done. Mark, I'm sorry to sound negative. I don't want to be negative, but it's just the feeling when we ever play Lincoln, I always just fear the game. It's just one of those where you just that team when you know we're facing them is like, yeah, we're going to lose. But are you feeling somewhat confident? Selena could be starting, and yeah, that's all I can say. Okay.
No. Not in the least bit confident whatsoever. From what I've seen so far this season, I predicted every single game so far that we're going to win, that the tide will turn. My son told me tonight in the car, he said, Dad, for goodness sake, don't say that again this week, because every time you say it, we lose. I said, you are jinxing us. So I said, okay, Joe, I'm going to go the completely other way. We're going to lose 3-1. Tight ground, confident team. They're going to batter us. Bishop will probably score a worldie in the 15th minute, beat 6 players, chip the goalkeeper, back heel into the net, whatever. 3-1 defeat. We'll be here next week, same conversation. I hope to God that's not true, but I got a horrible feeling that that's the way it's going to go, I'm afraid.
I forgot about the old player curse.
Yeah.
Yep. He's bound to score against us. Bound to score. It's inevitable. And it'll be a worldie. It won't be a tap-in, it'll be a worldie.
In front of the away end as well.
Absolutely.
He'll do that celebration.
And then he'll kiss the Lincoln badge then in front of the Town fans and run back. I can just see it.
Oh, yeah. Joyce, I believe it's going to be fun, isn't it, then, on Saturday? All this chat, a defeat, Teddy Bishop scoring a worldie, and all that. But yeah, what are you thinking? What's your thoughts on this game this weekend?
I just wanted to make a quick amalgamation of a point that Mark made and Brad's little tip about Appleton. I don't know if this is true or not, but just going back to Mark's point about whether Cook was first choice, I heard someone say the other day, and I can't remember where it was, whether it was in a chat or whether it was someone outside the ground, but they were adamant that Appleton was the first choice for the owners, and Cook wasn't. So if Brad is saying get your money on Appleton, then it potentially might be when we may have to have that conversation. But I'm not going to be as negative. I'm not going to be positive, though, because I've gone for a win every time and it's made me look like really stupid. So I'm going Desmond because we're definitely going to concede 2 at the moment, but I think I could see a score in 2. So, and although I want us to win, I'd be quite happy with a draw out of this one because it's not a happy hunting ground, unfortunately.
Okay, well, Brad, you've heard 3 defeats there, a win and a draw. Are you going to end the podcast with some positivity? It's been a heavy podcast, but been a lot of good chat, and I've also had a little strike there. But what do you reckon for this weekend?
I'll start with some positivity. I love Lincoln. I absolutely love it. It's like a second home. I've got my brother-in-law and his soon-to-be wife gets married this weekend, who live in Lincoln. And the only reason I'm not going this weekend is because I am going to Lincoln next weekend to that wedding. So poor timing from the EFL. Preferably it would have been a Tuesday night. I get a long weekend up there. Or even so, the Christmas market in December. Anyway, I digress. I think we're going to lose 2-0. They're a really good side, Lincoln. They haven't had a great start, but I love the way that Appleton's got on playing. I like a few of their players. I like Bridcup. I like Reed and Paul, the right back. Adelican is a player on the left wing who's got a lot of experience and is a good player at this level. So they've got good players all over the park. I just think that they'll win with heart. Whenever I've watched Lincoln, that's what they do. Their fans get right behind them. They just turn it into a place which can't play football. They get on top of you, and at the same time, they outplay you. So unless something drastically changes from last weekend, with an absolute mess that was, I can't see anything other but defeat. I'd love to say that we're going to win. I'd love to say we're going to draw, but you're coming up against the Lincoln side who are really well drilled. So it's a recipe for disaster for me. 2-0 defeat, but I'll enjoy my weekend after, I think.
Indeed. Well, we'll end the podcast right here. Francine, Bloomers, Mark, Wakers, Liam, and Brad, thank you for joining me as ever. And hopefully next week we won't be repeating what was said this week. Hopefully we'll be talking about the first win of the season, but I've jinxed it. Sorry, guys. It's going to be a defeat. But before we go, of course, got a big shout out to our sponsors at manscaped.com. Use the code KOA to get 20% off and free delivery. And also, as of this recording, the new Warsy Never Lost at Home performance is starting tonight. It's probably performing right now as we speak. When you listen to it, it's on a Friday, but they've got their shows running from September the 16th to October the 9th at the new Warsy, of course, Never Lost at Home, a musical celebration of Boy Robson's heroic. I can't even say that word. I'm not even going to try to continue. That's the word. Squad that, of course, lifted the UEFA Cup in 1981. It's going to be a great show. If you did go to the Blue Heaven show, I'm sure that's going to be as good as that as well. But anyways, that is enough of me. Thanks for listening as ever on the Fans Social. Let me know at Ross Media UK if you want to get involved. It'd be great to get some more voices on this as ever. And bring on Lincoln. A nice little trip there. And let's see if we can get our first win of the season. Let's go.